Welcome back to One Take with Wilke. Haven't done one of these in a couple weeks, and yeah, so here we are. I want to talk about this interesting Twitter campaign that I've come across since the first Farscape video that I did a couple weeks ago. So yeah, there's a large community of fans of the show who are actively petitioning Henson, and I suppose to some extent Amazon, who of course is hosting the streaming of it right now, for a revival, much like we've seen with like Fuller House and the like, of the show. And I think that that's a great idea. I think it's fantastic, because it's been 20 years since the original show aired, and it would be really interesting to see a revisitation of that world 20 years later. That would be something else. Some really interesting ideas that have been pitched around that I've been seeing, that I've myself participated in some of these conversations as well. I've been a big advocate. I'll just go ahead and use mine first. So if you've watched the show at all, especially season 4, then you know who I'm talking about when I talk about Commandant Grayza and how her makeup effects, which, I mean, she's a Sebastian. In the show, they look like humans, but they did this thing with this slight blue cast to her skin, and it's fascinating in the context of, you look back to the two-part episode where Jana and Jana are on the Gammock base at the end of season 1, the Nerve and the Hidden Memory, and when Jelena, the Peacekeeper tech girl, dresses Chiana, the Nabari, up as a Sebastian and does her makeup, you get a very similar effect. And I've always been suspicious of that, particularly in the context of the unfinished Nabari subplot about the contagion. And so I really have always suspected that there was something tying Grayza to the Nabari authorities. That she was either a contagion infectee or a Nabari agent in disguise, but I'd love to see some resolution of that storyline, which we didn't get in the Peacekeeper War. Fascinating other ideas that I've seen. Of course, there's a ton of talk because, of course, in the Peacekeeper Wars, John and Aaron, the two main characters, have a child together, and we don't see where that goes at all either, and I'd be curious to see where we are with regard to that. That would be fascinating. Dargo died at the end of the Peacekeeper War, but I've seen a lot of people suggesting that maybe instead he was taken prisoner. That would be interesting to see Anthony Simcoe return to the role, but I'd also understand if he thought that was the finalization of Dargo's arc. I'm okay with it either way, I guess, is where I'm at on that one. If they do bring Dargo back, that would be amazing, and I would be 100% in favor of that. I would hope that the Jothi, his son, would have some part in maybe the rescue from the Scarans, the Charids, whoever he would be in the custody of. I'd love to see Zan in kind of the same way that she appeared in the game episode with Stark. Like, John and she shared unity. Like, she should be in his head just as much as Harvey is my thinking. Okay, there's no corporeal Zan at this point. She died in the wheel. But if she's still there in some fashion, it would be fascinating to have Harvey be the devil on one shoulder and Zan be the angel on the other. I'm going to really pitch this one. I would love to see the Kahenu and the Builders have retrieved Talon's remains from the sacred place and perhaps resurrected them. And I want to see Krace more than what they did with the biofeedback. I really wanted that to go places. I wanted him to have Leviathan wires coming out of him, and perhaps ultimately he be tied to the ship as an atonement for his role in having created the warship Leviathan. I think that that would be something I would like to see, and I'd love to see them in a role serving the builders somehow, that Krace and Talon have been resurrected, that Krace is actually bonded to Talon like a pilot in some capacity. I think that would be an amazing, amazing way to bring them back, even though, of course, they died at the end of Season 3 in the tremendous sacrifice destroying the command carrier. Man, the scientist guy, I can't think of his name right now, from the command carrier. I'd love to see him return in some way. I just thought that was a great, great makeup effect. Man, okay, other things that I would love to see in a Farscape revival. Of course, Jana got those weird eyes. Does she still have the weird eyes, or did she get new eyes? What happened with the Nabari Resistance? Do we ever get to see her brother, like, in real life, not just in flashback or video transmission? What happened to the Tablets? Like, the Holy Warrior of Taru. Let's see that. I'm curious. I want to see. I mean, they did a fantastic job last time. I mean, I'd love to see where David Kemper and Jim Henson were able to take this. Rockney, you know, all the writers that were on it before, that would be terrific. Bring some new blood in as well. I'd watch it. I'd watch the living hell out of it. I'd watch the Hesmana out of it. I'd watch the Frell out of it. I don't know. Farscape. That was a Farscape video. Alright, one take with Wilke. You guys have a good one.